Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a hypnosis session that I did with a gentleman that was about a month, actually a few weeks into a weight loss plan that I was working with him. So we were, and still are, working over about a 4-month goal. He had lost weight successfully in the past. He had gained the weight over COVID and due to some health issues, and really wanted to lose the weight. And in this session, he'd already lost around about 5 pounds, so about 3 kilos. Was making progress in the initial couple of weeks that he'd been working with me, but wanted to continue that, where we focused on a few things. And I don't tend to focus on too many different variables because it can overwhelm, but there was 3 key things that I focused on with this client in this particular session. And the first was preempting the potential plateau. Now, what I knew about this particular client was that in the past, the moment he stopped seeing progress was the point that he gave up on potentially very effective weight loss strategies because he wasn't seeing the results. That's not unusual. That's what a lot of people do. And it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you give up doing the right things because you're not seeing the results, it guarantees that you then don't get the results. So what's really, really important is to preempt that with the right metaphor. So I used 3 different metaphors that all allude to this idea of it still makes sense to keep doing the right things even when you can't see the progress, because that lays the foundation for the next level of progress. And you'll hear those metaphors in this particular session. We also needed a way to label hunger and cravings as something that was either evidence that the body was in calorie deficit and therefore able to burn body fat as a fuel source, but also position cravings as something that the more you feed the cravings, the more cravings you get. And again, there's another metaphor there. And what was also really, really crucial is this idea of tapping into resources and new habits like exercise, particularly walking, for this particular gentleman who had in the past really enjoyed doing things like walking and exercising, but quite often alongside something else like listening to a podcast, for example. So what you'll hear in this hypnosis session is how I infuse all these together. And for him, he could remember walking a lot on top of a cliff face in the south of England, a place called Beachy Head, which unfortunately has different connotations. It's a very beautiful place, but a lot of people that are depressed actually will go there, and it's kind of a bit of a suicide spot. But for him, he would walk along that area and use it to kind of feel really relaxed. So we used that element to kind of tap into this idea of walking, exercise, nature, and then laid the foundations for just ways of thinking about food that would enable him to make good choices and to sustain those good choices that he's making. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Just notice that as you breathe in and breathe out, there's a feeling of relaxation, starting with the breath and going down into your lungs. That's it. Continue to breathe in and breathe out, positioning your body in whichever way makes you feel as most comfortable as you can be. As you listen to my voice, I want you to really focus on every sound other than my voice. Perhaps the sound of footsteps in neighbouring rooms, the sound of ticking of a clock, the sound perhaps of distant traffic outside, wind going through leaves on trees. And the more you focus on those sounds, the better able I am to communicate directly to your unconscious mind, the part that regulates your heart rate, your breathing rate. So much of what you do you're not in control of. You can't make yourself be hungry. You can't make your heart beat faster. So as you continue to breathe in and breathe out, I want you to get a sense that you're breathing in a sense of relaxation and resourcefulness, and breathing out tension, stress or anxiety in your outward breath. And as your body becomes more and more relaxed, your imagination becomes more vivid. Your ability to access the power of your subconscious mind increases proportionate to the level to which your physical body can relax. That's it, eyelids getting heavier and heavier, breathing deeper and deeper, becoming aware that as you increase your outward breath, you're creating a vacuum which enables a deeper breath to come in. And the more oxygen that comes in, the more resourceful and relaxed you feel, enabling you to feel like your arms getting heavier and heavier, sinking into the chair, almost having a desire to yawn. That's it. Noticing any sounds and movements within your body as clues that what you've been doing is working. And I want you to recall the time when you were walking with incredible views of the sea. I want you to recall the time where perhaps you were walking on grass there on the top of a cliff face. I want you to imagine there is solitude here as there was no one else around. But I want you to imagine that you're in that place, not as the memory, but as you currently are. And I want you to imagine that you're listening to a podcast which happens to be the sound of my voice as you're walking on the top of that cliff face. And as you continue to walk, I want you to find a rhythm that matches with your breathing. So you can walk and breathe in a synchronized way that means that you can breathe deeper and deeper. Your stride enables you to walk effortlessly, not having to think about where your legs move. And I want you to imagine that you're able to go inwards into a trance-like state where your imagination becomes more vivid. Your ability to preempt the future becomes more accurate. And your ability to work with your body and your intuition becomes effortless. And then I want you to imagine somewhere on this amazing countryside landscape, it's just the most comfortable chair that you've ever seen. And I want you to imagine climbing into that chair, positioning it into the most comfortable position. And very soon I'm going to count down from 5 to 1, and you will imagine what it would be like to fall asleep in that chair on the top of that cliff, looking out with those incredible views. 5, just eyelids getting heavier and heavier, feeling any and all muscle tension in your face, just loosening, relaxing. That's it. 4, paying attention to any tension in your neck and your shoulders, imagining it melting away like ice cubes on a hot day. That's it. Feeling a desire to just yawn and release any tension. That's it. 3, all the way down your arms, all the way down to your fingers, feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. That feeling of relaxation goes into your internal organs, your stomach, lungs, heart, digestive system. I want you to feel that internally, muscles that you don't normally have control over are relaxing. So allow your stomach to relax. Allow your lungs to relax. Allow your heart to relax. And in doing so, allow all of that relaxation to go right deep into your gut. They call your gut the second brain. Those micro movements that are almost undetectable, giving you clues as to what's a good decision and what's a bad decision. And you've used these phrases before. I feel it in my gut. I've got a good feeling about this. That doesn't feel right. Quite often are these tiny movements in your gut, and just allow all of those muscles to really relax. I want you to consider this the equivalent of a Control-Alt-Delete for your computer, resetting your relationship with your gut so that your gut enables you to make great choices with food, with exercise. Allow your gut to be a clue, a signal, to enable you to make incrementally better choices. Because there's been times in your life where you've incrementally found that by moving things by a tiny amount over weeks, each week becoming a little bit more challenging, meant that what would have been impossible in week 1 became easy on week 24. And I want you to imagine that your gut has the ability to give you clues of incremental changes to your diet, portion size, that enables you to do more and more of the right things, taking your future into an increasingly appealing direction. Allow that relaxation spread into your gut, down into your legs. 2, feeling your legs getting heavier and heavier. 1, imagining what it would be like to fall asleep, fall deeply asleep on that chair. That's right. And imagine going into your imagination, deeply into your imagination, so you're able to dream about the future. And I wonder what it would be like to dream of a future where you're able to make different choices. I want you to see yourself making incrementally better choices when it comes to what to complement your meals. Just see yourself adding more of those fibrous vegetables there on your plate. Maybe broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, salads. I want you to notice that when you have a craving for something sweet, see that you've got the freshest, ripest of those fruits, and all it takes is 1 or even half just to meet that craving for something sweet. That's right. I want you to see yourself walking more. And as you see yourself walking more, I want you to get a sense that you're doing it in a trance-like state. You've had experiences where you've been reading a book and got lost in a compelling book where the pages seem to turn all by themselves, and you would make incredible movies in your mind effortlessly. And there's been times where you've got into a really good TV show and lost complete track of time as just one episode fed into another episode. And I want you to imagine that this is also possible while you're walking. Perhaps listening to a good audiobook, a good podcast where you completely forget that you're walking. You're so immersed into that experience, the story, that what may have started as a 15 or 20 minute walk became an hour walk, and you didn't even realize because you just kept walking. I want you to see that future version of yourself being able to make good choices, being led from that intuitive, logical decision. I want you to get a sense that this version of you is making progress day after day, week after week. But I want you to see this version of you, perhaps 2 or 3 months in the future, reaching a bit of a plateau. And I want you to entertain 3 different ideas of which would be the best way of thinking about dealing with the plateau. And the first I want you to imagine is seeing a future version of yourself plant a seed for a bamboo. And a bamboo, in its seed form, does nothing for months and months. You can't even see it above the surface. There's just incrementally complex roots below the surface. And then suddenly, almost overnight, months into the future, a tiny shoot of a bamboo goes up and then becomes very tall very rapidly. But wouldn't have been possible without all of that groundwork happening when nobody was noticing, just assuming that the seed died in the soil, except it wasn't. It was laying the foundation for something incredible. And thinking of foundations, I want you to think of the foundations perhaps of an impressive building, maybe a very tall building. It takes engineers years to ensure that they go deep enough to lay solid foundations capable of building such a big structure. And from the outside world looking in, they might assume that nothing is happening. And then, after months, perhaps even years of laying the right foundations, what seems to happen in a few weeks is that a structure just comes out of nowhere, but was only possible based on all of the foundations that were being laid beforehand. And then I want you to imagine a sculptor with a large block, perhaps of something very hard like granite or marble. You see them chipping away for days and weeks. And it does not resemble whatever it is that they're trying to create, maybe a statue of a person. But all that chipping away is intentional, doing the right things in the right order. And then perhaps in the last few days, what was a big block of granite marble suddenly really does resemble whatever it is that they're trying to create. And I want you to entertain an idea that you are laying the foundations for the future version of you, not temporary. Big buildings that are being built now will last a century, and I want you to get an idea that you are laying the foundations for the future version of you, physically, emotionally, and from a health perspective. I want you to get a sense, just like the bamboo, that you are laying the right kind of roots. And when you do the right things, you get the right results, and there will come a time where you will question if you're doing the right things. And perhaps it's this image of the bamboo root system. Maybe it's the image of a foundation of a skyscraper. Maybe it's the sculptor with the block of marble and granite. And I want you to get a sense that you are chipping away. You are sculpting your future self. You are laying the foundations for dramatic and permanent positive change in your life. Because it would be possible. It would be possible for the bamboo to have that network of roots, and a gardener to assume that the roots weren't there, and to just move all that soil away, and then the bamboo would never grow. And it's possible that the foundations of incredible skyscrapers have been laid, but then perhaps never built. And it's possible that the sculptor chips away but never gets to creating their masterpiece. And I want you to get a sense that if you do the right things, you get the right results. And in this psychological game of chicken, you are unlocking all the resources to hold your nerve, to chart a trajectory to your future version of yourself, and then hold firm. Even when on the surface the results aren't there, you are unlocking that determination, that focus of what the bamboo will look like when it's tall, what the skyscraper will look like when it's finished, what the masterpiece will look like when the sculptor has finished. And I want you to create an image in your mind of what your body will look like perhaps a year or 2 years from now. I want you to get a sense that when you do the right things, you get the right results. And you're laying the foundation not just to lose weight, but to create lifelong habits, to create a new relationship with yourself and with food, to create a new relationship where perhaps exercise at one point was deemed to be a chore or unpleasant, but in the future could represent a source of mental well-being and satisfaction and pride. I want you to get a sense that all of these things come from doing the right things in a way where they become automatic, consistent. It's possible to make things happen when you concentrate heavily on things, but sooner or later the brain likes to do things all by themselves. You've got the ability to choose which food you eat and how much you eat, but time will come where you just only desire smaller portions because that's all your body needs. I want you to imagine an old lady in a kitchen. And then she sees a cockroach in the kitchen. And the old lady thinks, there's a cockroach. Maybe if I give it some food, it will go away. And the next day there are 2 cockroaches. But the lady thinks, well, if the cockroaches are here, they'll only go away if I give them food. So she gives them a bit more food, and the next day there are 4 cockroaches. And I want you to get a sense that cravings for you are your cockroaches. You can feed them or you can starve them. And I want you to get a sense that when you feel a craving for the foods that you know are taking you in the opposite direction of your masterpiece, your vision for you and your body, I want you to get a sense that these are cockroaches. And if you feed them, then more cockroaches will come. And if you starve them, no cockroaches will exist. And if your unconscious mind likes the idea of starving the cockroaches so that you're able to chart a course to the ideal future version of you without the fighting and the struggles, and just more of doing what you like because you know it's making you feel good in the moment and also making you feel good in the future, just let me know by nodding your head. And then I want you to imagine seeing yourself as if you were a statue. What would your body shape look like? What would your facial expression be? I want you to get a sense that you are sculpting your future, and the chisel and the hammer are the choices you make, and every positive choice is creating the future version of you in the shape that you wanted. You can choose to make yourself bigger in the future or slimmer in the future, healthier or not healthier. Your choices are your hammer and your chisel, and you are creating your future version of yourself. And you are unlocking all of the resources to sculpt that future version of you in the way that you would want to be in the future. And then I want you to get a sense that this is just your thoughts and imagination while sitting on a chair above a cliff top, and actually imagine getting up out of that chair. And as you walk there along these incredible sea views and incredible fresh clean air and blue skies, seeing the seas and the waves, I want you to get a sense of huge optimism and positivity, that you've done the hard work in getting started, and now you are going to build more and more incremental momentum by supporting positive habits with conscious choices, knowing that the conscious choices will become automatic habits in a very short space of time. And then you recall that even this place is just a place of tranquility and solitude to connect with your unconscious mind, unlocking valuable resources that will enable you to preempt future problems and to build the very future version of you that you desire. As you're listening to my voice firmly in the present. And very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, and you will awaken feeling optimistic, positive, with a sense of determination to work with your body to ensure that you differentiate between true hunger and just cravings. A desire for nutrients and a desire for gratification. You will awaken feeling that hunger is now evidence that you're making progress, and that you will give your body nutrients that will enable you to train your body to burn more fat. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.